May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be always and ever acceptable in thy sight, O Lord our God and our Redeemer. Amen. This wonderful miracle is one of the only miracles that appears in all four Gospels. That is how important it is. And for many, it is a turning point in the lives of the disciples. So let's look at the background to it first. You'll see in the earlier verses of that chapter that John the Baptist has been killed. Salome has done her rather salacious dance. I shan't ask Sue to demonstrate. Which has pleased the king so much that he has promised her that she can have whatever she wants. And Salome goes to her mother, and her mother says, head of John the Baptist on a plate. And the king, though he is sad to do this, he's made that promise, and so he has to fulfill it. And Jesus has just learnt of that. The one who came before him, the one who cleared the way for him, the herald who went before him, the one who baptized him, has been killed. And that is why Jesus wants to go away to a quiet place, just with his disciples, just to privately be with his own thoughts, to process those thoughts, to pray upon those thoughts. But because of Jesus' fame already, because the people have heard of the miracles, they've heard of the healings, they've heard of the wonderful stories that he tells, they want to hear more. They want to see more. They want to be in his presence. And so when they come back to the shore, they may have gone across the lake, I don't know what happened, but as they come to the shore, Jesus sees this enormous multitude of people on the shoreline and going up the banks and so on. So does he say, tell them to go away, I need some peace and quiet. Tell them to go. I can't be doing with them now. No, we are told he has compassion upon them. And what does he do? He heals their sick. So there are those who have come to him because they've seen the wonders that he performs, the practical things that he has done, the healings and so on. And so Jesus has, in a sense, fulfilled that for them. They've come. But were they invited? They've come. But were there posters up saying, tomorrow, here, Jesus? No. They have come because of word of mouth has spread. Come hear this man. If you remember the Samaritan woman, come hear a man who has told me everything that I have done. That's who they are coming to see. And Jesus wants to take care of each and every one of them. He doesn't specify who. He doesn't do his quick bit of triage, for those of you of a medical disposition. He wants to be there for everyone that is there. He doesn't differentiate between any. He wants to be there for everyone. He has made sure that each and every one of them is either touched by him or can hear him or can be served by him. No one is kept out of that enormous camp, if you like. But now it gets late in the day. And so the disciples come to Jesus. Now, Jesus is getting, look, time's moving on. Surely now you need to send these people away. Send them to the villages. Send them to the towns. They need to buy themselves some food and drink. The disciples see the problem. All right? The disciples see the problem. They don't see the solution. And so he says to his disciples, you feed them. Now, hang on. That sounds like a good idea, Jesus. Yes, I can understand that. But we've done a quick trawl through all the people here, and this little lad has got his little packed lunch of 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Well, that ain't going to go round much, is it? What does Jesus do? He takes that little resource. And what's the first thing he does with it? He gives thanks to God for it. He doesn't look at it and say, well, is that all you can do? Is that it? Sorry. I sent you out to find some food, but that's ridiculous. No, he doesn't. He thanks God for what they have put in his hands. And then he starts to give it. But you'll notice, and this is very important, because this is where the disciples' learning comes in. He doesn't give it directly to the people. He gives it to his disciples to then give to the people. Do you see what I'm saying? So that as he gives it to the disciples, it is multiplied. And then as the disciples give it to the people, it is multiplied again. Yeah? So that not only is it coming from Jesus out, but it's then going out from his disciples, his chosen ones. And that way, everyone is fed. And suddenly, you must think that his disciples were thinking, hang on now, I've fed them, and it's still more here. Jesus didn't give me, it keeps coming. You remember, do you remember the jar of oil in the Old Testament? How does the jar of oil replenish itself? As it is used. Yes? She keeps going back to the jar of oil, and God has refilled it every time she goes to it. If she had just left it there, it would have stayed same. But because she was using it, it grows and it multiplies. And this is what Jesus is saying to his disciples. And he's saying it to us as well. It doesn't matter how small a resource you have got. It doesn't matter how small a gift you have got. If you place it into God's hands, he will multiply it for you. And he will do immeasurably more than we can understand. But all too often, we hold back. And there's the wonderful story in Acts of Ananias and Sapphira. Those of you who remember that one? Ananias and Sapphira, they sell a piece of land. When the initial premise is that they're going to give the whole of the money to the then apostles for the work of the Lord to continue. But they make an agreement between them that they will hold some of the money back, but they will tell the apostles that it is the whole amount. And Peter, on both occasions, with both Ananias and Sapphira, he asks them, is this the whole amount? Yes, this is the whole amount. And what does he say? Because you have lied before God, you will die. He hasn't said to them, because you haven't given the whole amount, you will die. It's because they wanted it to look as if they had given the whole amount that they die. And that is very important. There is no problem with being rich. But if being rich takes over the whole of your life, and that's the prime thing in your head, and I'm not looking at anyone in the world specifically, but if that is the one thing in your thinking, then where's the space for God? And that is the problem. Too many people in the world today, this resource is mine. It is mine. And nobody else is going to have it. Why should I share it with anyone else? God says, hand over the resource to me. Hand over what you have got to me. And you will be blessed beyond your wildest imagination. And so here we see the disciples. And you can imagine as they were going around giving people this food, and they were going back to people and saying, would you like a little bit more? No, I'm full. Thanks ever so much. That was lovely. I think, hang on. This started out as 5 little... and now, these people have had a banquet. They've had a feast. So much of a feast that when they gather up all the crumbs, there are 12 basketfuls left over. First question, where did they find 12 baskets? Well, they were by the lake. And so there were loads of fishing baskets there. The baskets that they would have packed the fish in. So, of course, there were baskets there. But they're left with 12 baskets full. And then again, there's always that conversation, how many were actually fed? Well, the Bible tells us 5,000 men, besides the women and children. But so it may well have been as many as 20,000, if you think about it. Men, women, and children. It could have been from anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000. That's how many were blessed on that day. And where did that blessing come from? From Jesus offering up to God those 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Isn't that wonderful? So whatever your gifts, whatever your talents, whatever you think you can bring to God's table, bring it freely. Bring it openly. Don't be afraid to say, Lord, I'm not quite sure. I can do this, but I don't quite know how you can use it in your kingdom. He will show you a way. He will show you exactly how you can use it. I have a wonderful carol, and I'll finish with this. It's a Christmas carol. So if you haven't put your sprouts on by now, you're too late for Christmas. But it's the last verse of a Christmas carol. And it goes like this. Well, you'll all know it. What can I give him poor as I am. If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet, what I can, I give him. Give my heart. If that's all you can give to him, give it freely. If that's all that you feel is in you that you can give to him, give it freely. Place it into God's wonderful hands. And he will use you. You may not think he uses you. When you come across people and you smile at them, frightens the life out of them, but when you smile at them, when you say good morning to them, even though it's evening, no, when you say hello to people, put on a happy face. Sometimes that's difficult. Please don't get me wrong. But God can use it. He can use all our gifts to further his kingdom. Amen.